Blog Talk Radio.
You are live at the Literary Lounge with your host, Destiny D, bringing you the newest and the brightest of the literary world right to your ear hole. Every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in, listen up, and learn something. This is the spot for new hot authors who are given the opportunity to shine. Each Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will showcase a new author here at the Literary Lounge. We are taking out the time to give all of our literary friends an opportunity to showcase their work. The New Author Spotlight is a platform that allows us to ask up to 10 questions or more to give you, the audience, the most in-depth current information about each writer in their literary piece. We will have a new guest every week. Stay tuned. Hey, it's your girl, Destiny D, live on WTLR Radio, and you are listening to the Literary Lounge. And today's date is February 16th, 2019, and today's special guest is going to be none other than Miss Mokisses. Today is episode 38. And we're going to be talking about her new trilogy, Thicker Than Water. And today we're going to find out a little bit about herself, a little bit about her book, and how she came to be. So let's see if she's on the line. Ms.
Hey,
Mo,
I'm
are you
here.
there?
Yep,
All right,
I'm here.
great. Okay, so just to give everybody an idea of who you are and where you're from, we'd like for you to give, your formal introduction and let everybody know where you're repping from.
I'm Mokisses. I'm from Virginia, a small city in Virginia, Lynchburg, but I currently live in Virginia Beach, the 757.
All right, okay, so Lynchburg is actually not too far from where I am right now. Probably about like 30 minutes. You ever heard of South Boston?
Yep, I actually have family that live in South Boston.
All right, cool. So we homegirls.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you begin writing?
I have been writing since I can remember. I guess officially I've been writing since about 8. I started out writing poetry, short stories, stuff like that. Always had a gift for words. My mom used to tell me I should be a lawyer because I always had something to say. So I think I've always had the gift for words, and I officially started writing poetry since about the age of 8.
Okay, so when you decided to do, book-wise, did you ever go back and, publish some of your poetry, or did you just take the ground off running with the regular books and stuff?
For me, my poetry is very personal. So I haven't published any of it. I guess for me, I feel like I'm telling my character story and things that they've gone through and go through and how they get through. But with my poetry, that's like my story. and what I've been through and what I go through and how I get through it. So it's more personal for me with my poetry. So I don't think I've built up enough courage or the nerve to publish my poetry yet.
Well, you should definitely give that some thought because, like, a lot of people do tend to draw themselves to things that they can relate to. So when they are personal, I mean, not to say, you divulging all of your secrets and, this, that, and the other about things that you experience that you don't want anybody to know. But as far as, like, life experience, pearls of wisdom that you can give to somebody that may be going through exactly what you went through, those things are more relatable to people, and they do tend to do well, as opposed to fantasy and fiction. When it's real and relatable, they do tend to, show love towards that. So definitely keep that in mind, as far as putting some of that stuff out there. And you can, like, test the waters with some of the stuff that you feel comfortable releasing. And then if you see that the turnout is more, catered to the poetry end, then definitely all of that stuff, you need to dust it off and bring that back out. And allow people
I have a poetry book. I actually still keep a poetry book. I still write poems to this day. I got spoken word. I got, that's my first poetry was my first expression of myself in written form. So I still dibble and dabble in poetry often. I don't know. I'll think about it. It's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely do that. So tell us a little bit about your book series and what it's all about.
Thicker Than Water was the first book that I ever published. That is my baby. The concept is basically there is, a girl and her brother who their parents are big drug dealers or big drug lords or whatever phrase, you use, and they're murdered on her birthday, and her brother is murdered in front of her on her birthday. So it's more so, I don't really want to give it away for people who haven't read it, but it's more so digging up old secrets of why this happened to figure out who did it and why they did it. And it wasn't originally slated to be a trilogy. It was just the first book, that was it, and, I was done with it. But the demand for more information from the readers, I was like, okay, I'm going to put out a second one. And that's when I did Blood is Still Thicker Than Water. And that one did well as well, and I still had people, like, inboxing me and calling me, like, so what happens next? What's the end game? What happens? So that's actually how it became a trilogy. It was not originally supposed to be a trilogy. It was just the one book, and it was a standalone. But, when the readers want more, you gotta give the readers more.
Exactly, and that's, like, one of the best things about being a writer is when you have, like I said, that following. And you have people who give reviews, and you have people that's, like, wanting more, then you have something to look forward to and something to build on because you have a focus group. And those are your day ones, and those are the ones that you cater to when it comes to that. And I experienced that as well. When you come out with one book and then people start asking questions, well, what happened to this person? And what happened to the money? And what they going to do now? And then it ends up being a whole nother book. And the best thing about it is when you start doing stuff like that, if you leave it open-ended, like cliffhanger-wise or anything to that effect, then it leaves the door open for potential sagas, trilogies, and all of that, because people are going to want to know, the information that you left out. And it's an ongoing smorgasbord of things that you can do. Like, his brother could have took up his place and You know, you introduce new characters and stuff like that. So you can always, you know, come up with new plots and twists and new characters to take the place of the major ones that left, you know, the scene. So definitely keep all of that in mind. And one thing I would like to tell you as just somebody that's been in the game for a while is that negative criticism is not negative. It's actually positive because, for one, they took the time to read the book. So that's a blessing within itself. So when you look at somebody that doesn't give your book praise to a certain degree, you look at what they said and you use it as positive feedback because it may have been something that you missed. Like my first review was horrible, but the only thing that I needed to fix was I needed to put page breaks so that they knew the differential between past tense and what was going on current. So, you know, sometimes it'd be something small, and once you figure it out, it may be, you know, the thing that very well takes your book to another level.
I've only had one negative review that kind of put me in my feelings, and the reason is not because it was a negative review, because I'm someone who's always trying to perfect my writing, give the readers what they want, but also making sure that I'm writing what's true to me. And the negative comment or the negative review was more so, and I'm not quoting it, this is just paraphrased, but it was basically talking about how urban fiction books always have to include white characters. Why can't we just have books with just black characters in it? And that kind of stung a little bit for me because I don't write books for one person or one group of people. I want anyone to be able to pick up my book, read it, and enjoy it for the content within it. Now, if you didn't like the storyline or if you didn't like, you know, character development or things like that, that's understandable. If it wasn't edited properly or, you know, different things like that, I get it. I'm a reader above anything. I read, so I understand those types of things. But that comment, having a white character in the book, kind of touched me a little bit because, again, I don't write books for one group of people. I don't want to exclude one group of people or multiple groups of people from anything that I write. What I write is for anyone to enjoy. And to me, that type of review it didn't help me as a writer. I'm good with negative reviews if they can help me as a writer. And I don't feel like that type of review really does anything to help the author as a writer. That's a personal opinion. You get what I'm saying?
Right. That's the difference. Right. And like you said, you want to cater to a wider audience. That's why, like, majority of my books don't have it to where, you know, anybody under 18 can't read it, or somebody that's religious can't read it. You know, you make it so blanketed to where anybody can pick up your book and it's not offensive. Now, I don't know as far as like where that person is from, but predominantly most of the people that's in Chicago, that's in the hood, is white. So I'm not sure what hood they from or what hood they know, but, you know, in big cities like Chicago, Detroit, stuff like that, they prominent. So,
I mean, in any hood I've been in, and I've been in quite a few hoods, there's at least one white family. Yeah,
it do be some in there, and I just look at them as white chocolate. As far as I'm concerned, as long as they don't have that history of Lynchburg and that history of Virginia, as far as like the KKK and all that crazy stuff and cracker this and that, then that's different. Hood people are different. You could definitely tell the difference between the two. So, you know, that's somebody that's closed-minded. I do see where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, like you said, that's a personal preference
on opinion. So
right.
it's like that's not really like negative feedback. They just wish it was an all ethnic book, which I can feel that person's perspective too, because you know a lot of our writers tend to cater, as far as like the urban fiction, do tend to cater to the Black and brown audience. So
Right.
you know I understand where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, it's your book. You know what I'm saying? You go write what you want to write. It's not going to be like a 100% approval rating, you know, towards every demographic. But, I mean, 1 out of 100 ain't bad.
Right, and I mean, I took their comment into consideration as well. Like, you know, it's not just I dismissed it as, oh, you're just being closed-minded and I don't want to hear it. I still took it into consideration because I do understand it. You know, when Black authors and brown authors didn't have an outlet, you know, urban fiction was what was created for us. So I get it.
Right.
I truly do get it. You know, and
right.
Speaking from myself, I understand it. I love a good urban fiction book. I really do. But again, as an author trying to make a difference with my writing, I don't want only Black or brown people to be able to pick my book up and enjoy it. I don't want someone, if they're white or, you know, or other, to pick my book up and not be able to enjoy it.
Right. And see, that's the best way to be, is to cover all markets. You know, you don't want to shy anybody from any of the work that you do. That's why a lot of people you see make stuff so generalized. Like even the names of the characters is more generalized as opposed to, you know, things that you can't pronounce. But I mean, that's urban. You know, that's the urban thing. You know, and my thing is a lot of people that I've listened to as far as feedback, like lately, have been saying, you know, they tired of the same urban novel where it's like they cookie cut it. They have the same storyline. It's just different names, different places, but the storyline is all the same. So it's like you still have to have that shock value that people don't have. So I think that what you're doing is very, very good for you to be able to do as well as you've been doing. I think that's awesome, and I think that you should continue to write the way that you're writing. And if you feel like that's what you want to include it.
Thank
I mean,
you.
regardless,
I appreciate that.
I mean, believe it or not, I mean that person got the book. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, that's the overall goal that they got the book.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I want you to enjoy it, but I've come to the realization that not everyone will enjoy it, and that's what I think for me, that was my growth point in becoming an author, in knowing that you can write the best thing, but someone won't enjoy it for some reason, and you have to understand that that's just part of it, because anything in the arts, whether it's literature, whether it's visual arts, whether it's dancing or music or whatever, it's subjective. So if I think it's the best thing in the world, you may think it's the worst, you know, but again, neither one of us are wrong.
Right. But see, my thing is like if you look at most urban fiction or novels or whatever, most of the time if there is, you know, someone of the opposite realm as far as race, that's like the officer or somebody dealing with some kind of an important role. So let me ask you this. As far as that particular character in the book, if it was only one, what role did that person play? Like, was they an officer or a lawyer or something dealing to that effect? Or, like, were they one of the main characters in the hood?
She wasn't a main character. She was the main character's, like, best friend. And she didn't have a more important role, I'll say. Like, she didn't have a more educated role, or it wasn't anything like that. Her role was pretty much, she was a drug runner. Like, that's what she did.
Okay.
She helped move drugs.
She was a Becky. She was like a Becky. She was just the home girl to the main character.
Yeah, she was. I mean, she was a white hood girl, and that's the best way that I can describe it, because she wasn't any more educated. She wasn't in any more of an important role. She wasn't someone of authority. She was like the around the way hood girl, the white girl with, big hoop earrings, and, she blended in. Like she wasn't a typical white character, I'll say that. She was a hood character.
Right.
So I think that's another reason why it kind of struck me differently, because she wasn't placed in a more important role or a more educated role or anything like that. She was probably more hood than the main character.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, see that makes the difference. Like when you give a better understanding of like what role did that person play. She was just a supporting actress to, the main character. It wasn't like she was one of the main. She was just there as far as, support to her position. So, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with that, because I got a homegirl right now that I consider my sister, and we ain't nowhere close to being the same complexion, but she hood, you know what I'm saying? And she deals with only us. Like, so that's what I'm saying. You have those instances where, they just can't help what skin tone they got, but as far as their heart and how they carry themselves, they white chocolate.
Right, and that's my thing. All of my characters are based on people I know or a collection of people that I know. So her character is actually based on, someone that I know. She's actually based on, a collection of women that I know. But, it wasn't just, okay, I have to make sure that I put a white character in this book for the sake of not making anyone mad. It was more so like every character in each book that I have written has been based on or loosely based on either one person or a collection of people in my life.
Right. Okay, now let me ask you a little bit about the rest of your books now. Is this trilogy like the only thing that you've come out with, or do you have anything new in the works?
I have 2 other books that are published. I have Vindictive. That one was published, I want to say 2016. And it's basically about, like, workplace drama and things like that, because I don't just write hood books, and that's what I want. Like, a lot of people have read my Thicker Than Water, and they're like, oh, my gosh, you write street lit, and that's great, and I love it. When's your next street lit book coming out? And it's like, although I love street lit, and I can write it, I do write other things, because not everybody wants to read about, drug dealers and killings and, things like that. So I do write other things. So Vindictive was about basically a woman who was trying to get a promotion. She didn't get a promotion, so she was trying to set people up in the workplace, and she ends up getting run off the road and almost killed by someone, but she doesn't know who, because she's done pretty much everyone in her workplace dirty. So
my cousin actually had something like that happen to him for real. He got a promotion on the job, had only been there like 5 months, and somebody that was there that had been there for like years was hating on him and ran him out the road, just like your book. And he broke his arm, his leg, his hip, and some more stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you have books that's relatable to real life situations, you may not know, you may be thinking that it's just something off the top of the dome, but believe it or not, it's people who have been through similar circumstances and situations that, they can't help how they got up. Sometimes your hustle is just that hard. I've had that situation before where I was working at McDonald's, believe it or not. And I had worked for 2 weeks, but I hustled. Like, there's nobody that I could ever say that got tips at McDonald's, ever, right? Okay, so that was how good my service was when it came to people who came in. Like, if you wanted coffee and I knew that it hadn't been fixed since 5 o'clock, I'll make a fresh pot. I'm not supposed to, like, get tips for that. But that's just how bad the service was prior to me being hired. So, like, when the owner saw my hustle, he offered me a management position within 2 weeks. Now, mind you, chick in the back been a manager for 7 years, and she wanted the store that he was trying to give me. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, sabotage had to come into play. A lot of saltiness was involved. So I was like, okay, do I go back or do I just let that junk go? And while I was on my lunch break, I decided to let it go, and I didn't even go back. I let it all go because it wasn't worth the headache, and it wasn't worth somebody trying to be vindictive. You know?
Right.
So it's like you pick and choose your battles. Sometimes, like, what people are fighting for ain't worth losing your life over. Like I was telling people, you know, if somebody come in to rob you and you at work, this stuff ain't yours. This stuff insured. Let them have that junk. Don't lose your life for something that's worth like $22 that you're not being paid to protect. Like, give it to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
It's crazy.
But it's good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Not good that, you know, people have gone through it, but it's good to hear that things that I write about is relatable, because that's my goal. I want somebody to read it and say, oh my gosh, my cousin went through something similar. Like, stuff like this really happens. Like, I don't want people to read my book and be like, man, that'll never happen. Like, this is too far-fetched. Like, I want someone to read it and be like, you know, this really happens. Like, because Vindictive for me was inspired by a lot of things. I've been in human resources for 13 years. So I got in human resources when I was 17. So I was always the youngest in the offices that I worked in, and for the most part, I was always the only Black. So I have seen a lot of manipulative things happen in different offices that I've worked in, and different things that I've heard about, and different things that people have gone through. So that was more so my inspiration for that. It was more of the things that I've seen, the things that I've heard, and, you know, some of the things that has happened to me happening in these companies, in these offices where everybody on the outside looking in, it's like everybody gets along, everybody gets their job done, and it's great. But when you really get into the middle of it, there's so much going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama, and there's a lot of haterade being spilled when it comes to, you know, people getting a leg up, and moving on with their lives and coming up in, like, the business world. Matter of fact, the first thing that came to my mind, if you get a chance, look up the movie Showgirls. Okay. And you'll get an idea of what I mean by the stiff competition between rivalry and what lengths people will go to just to be the person in the spotlight. Like, it's crazy, like how people would do things. But you mentioned another book. What's the last book that you was mentioning that you're working on or that you have out?
The last book that I put out was a Christmas book. It was a Christmas collection. It's called A Mokisses Christmas. And I think this is probably my best work that I've put out. It is a collection of 4 short stories. And what I wanted to do was to give people a different outlook on the holidays. You know, everyone looks at the holidays, whether you celebrate Christmas or you know, another form, but you look at it like, you know, togetherness and a happy time, and, you know, it's this beautiful thing. But what's not highlighted is the sad part of it, where you have one of my books actually highlights a couple who went through the woman in the marriage found out she had cancer during the Christmas holidays. So dealing with that. Another story was about a little girl who was in foster care, and she got to spend the holidays with a family outside of the foster home. There was another about a homeless man, and I don't want to give the stories away again for people who haven't read them. And then there was another about a soldier, a woman. She was in the military and she was deployed around Christmas time. So just giving a light to the people that we don't think about during the holidays. Like, you don't think about the families who their loved ones are, deployed and serving and protecting. And you don't think about the people who have lost loved ones during the holiday season or have gotten bad news like cancer or something like that during the holiday season. So it was just to kind of give an inspiration and shed a spotlight on the things that we don't discuss during the holiday season. And it actually, and I just want to shout out my readers and my fans really quick, because it debuted at number 1, which was a huge thing for me on the Amazon list. I know some authors don't look at those lists or don't think they matter. To me, I cried for hours because it had the little ribbon beside it, and it said that it was number 1. And I that made me happy because I could put something out that had meaning behind it, and people took to it. And I just want to shout everybody out that actually read it, who has it. I appreciate y'all more than I could ever express, but that was a milestone for me in my author career. That was a goal that I had set for myself, and to actually achieve it, especially on a book like A Mokisses Christmas, where it was some of the harder topics to talk about, but I talked about them, and people reacted to them. That was big for me. So just thank you, everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you came out with that series, because that makes a big difference in their lives. I've seen some of the, videos and stuff of soldiers who came home and surprised their loved ones, and it's like the face that they have is priceless, because they haven't seen them in so long, and that wears down, the person that's deployed and the family. And I felt real bad about the ones that's been caught up in this economic shutdown, that's been having to serve without pay, and then they're thinking about their loved ones back at home not being able to, buy bread and milk because they're not being paid. So, it's a lot of things going on right now that, a lot of people are not aware of. The 800,000 people were affected by that shutdown, and they still had to serve regardless, free of charge.
Yeah, so, and my dad, he was in the military for, probably about 20-something years, and I can't count the number of holidays or birthdays that he's missed because of, being deployed and different things like that. And that's one of the reasons why I had to include a story about it, because I lived it. Me and my family, we lived it. We lived with father being deployed and not getting phone calls for 2 or 3 weeks, and having the thoughts in the back of your mind like, oh my gosh, is he okay? I haven't heard from him. I need, I don't even have a way to call him or contact him, different things like that. So, we actually lived it again with the cancer story. I was, at one point diagnosed with cancer. So to incorporate that in the stories that I wanted to put out, I wanted people to realize that it happens. And even when you think it won't be you, it might. It's something that I've had to deal with. It's something that my family has helped me deal with. It's something that my husband has helped me deal with. So, when I write stories, I want people to understand that my fiction stories are nonfiction to someone. And that someone may be me, it may be you, but just know that somebody can get something out of the books that I write. Out of every book that I write, someone can get something out of them.
Right. And I'm so thankful that you are telling your story, because, like I said, it means a lot to other people to know what you've been through and what you've been able to accomplish even after the fact. And I love to hear success stories when it comes to that, because like I've seen it so many different times, because prior to all of the other stuff that I've been doing, I was a nurse. So I saw the beginning stages of life from infants being born all the way up until the elderly times, where people were getting ready to go home. So, when I hear the word cancer and I see, the effect that it has on people, my first instinct is to try to get them on a holistic diet, try to get them to where they can keep their energy up, especially if they have some youth about them. They are able to fight it and actually go into remission, because their mindset is based around surviving and beating this thing and moving ahead. So,
right.
It's a blessing to hear that you have done that. And my hat goes off to you, sweetheart, and I'm thankful that you're still here and still able to release these wonderful books. Now, I would like to give you an opportunity to let everybody know where they can find your book and how much is each one going for. So let everybody know where they can find your book and stuff.
All of my books are on Amazon. You can Google my name, Mokisses, and they'll all come up. They're all on Kindle. You can get the Kindle edition or the paperback copy. I do like to sign any paperback copies that people get. So if you do purchase a paperback copy and you want it signed, just get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. Author Mokisses is my fan page. You can find me on there and just get in touch with me. I do like to interact with my readers. I do like to, answer questions, have discussions about previous books and future books and different things like that. I'm pretty active on Facebook. So if you, for whatever reason, you can't find it on Amazon, which you should be able to, but if you can't, just get in touch with me on Facebook and I can get you a copy.
Okay. And as far as your connections and things of that nature, like how can people reach you, like via email? What social media are you on other than Facebook? And things of that nature.
I'm on Instagram, Author Mokisses. I'm on Twitter, Author Mokisses. And I'm on Snapchat at Mokisses. My email address is authormokisses@yahoo.com, or you can also reach me on my other one, because I had to create another one. I have two emails because emails were getting to fill up really quickly. You can reach me at mokissesjones@gmail.com.
Okay, great. So with that being said, what we want to do is we want to take like one short little break, and we're going to come back. And we're going to go a little bit into a little bit more about yourself and your books. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
This is the spot for new hot authors who are given the opportunity to shine. Each Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will showcase a new author here at the Literary Lounge. We are taking out the time to give all of our literary friends an opportunity to showcase their work. The New Author Spotlight is a platform that allows us to ask up to 10 questions or more to give you, the audience, the most in-depth current information about each writer in their literary piece. We will have a new guest every week. Stay tuned.
All right, guys, and we are back, and we are live here at the Literary Lounge, and this is your girl, Destiny D, on WTLR Radio. Today's date is February 16th, 2019, and we have been with Sister Mokisses. We've been talking about her trilogy, a little bit about her other 2 books that she has out right now. And now we're getting to the segment where we're trying to find out, do she have anything in the works? That's what we want to know. So we're trying to get a leg up to see if she has anything new in the horizons, or any events or anything that we should know about. So please be sure that if you do have events, that you give like all the information that you have available, date, time, location, all that good stuff, so that people can support you at your new ventures.
Right now, I don't have any events scheduled. I am open for events, so anybody listening, if you want me to be a part of your event, you can get in touch with me and let me know. But I do have a few new projects in the works. I actually went through my inventory of unfinished books, and I have about 10 unfinished books. And I'm working actively on all 10 to get them finished. You as an author, you probably understand that when a character from one book is talking to you, you got to work on that immediately. I think the reason that I have so many unfinished projects is because I have so many different characters pulling me in different directions, and when I try to focus on one specific book, I get writer's block crazy, and I think it's because I try to push myself to finish a project based on other people's timelines. And
right,
I can't do that for myself because I'll have characters and scenarios for a whole nother book in my mind, and I can't write for whatever I'm working on at that moment. So I do have a lot I'm trying to put out. I'm trying to put out at least 5 books this year, and I know, that might not sound like a lot to some people, but for me that is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm working on those.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I be seeing some people putting out like 10 books a week or something like that, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, oh my God, like I can't. But like, I have done like short stories that were like, by the time you added like 3 of them together, it equaled one book, But
right.
Like, as far as like writing a book through and through in a short period of time, I think like one time I did it like in a week. Like, I really pushed myself, and I put out like a 70,000-page book out in a week. You got to have that downtime to actually do it though. And one of the things, like you were saying, you have like writer's block sometimes. I've noticed that for me, now this might work for you and it may not, but like when I have a brain fart, what I do is I pull out my cell phone and I click the voice memo, and I'll be like, okay, when I get back to this particular book, I'm gonna have my main character go through this, and that, and somewhere along the line, the plot is going to twist where this particular character is going to take the main role instead of the one that was originally in it, and I'm going to kill off this one, and then it's going to go in this direction, and then, boop, stop the recording. You see what I'm saying? That way you don't lose your train of thought, and then you could put, like, the title of the book, like, with the voice memo, so that when you do get a chance to sit down and actually pull up that book, you know which direction that you wanted to go into with that thought process, and you don't get lost. And it don't get lost in the shuffle. So I have done that. Like, I be like, ooh, I need to tell that story about what happened at this church down the street with this pastor, this, that, and the other. And then that's the end of the message. Because I already know the background information. It's just about me not losing that train of thought, or at least just jotting down something to keep my mind open as far as on that book. So that may be something that...
I think for me, and this is going to sound weird and I'm going to sound crazy, and I understand, but for me, my characters write their books. So
No. I completely agree with you. Mm-hmm.
So when I'm trying to focus on, one book that I'm like, okay, I have until the end of the month to get this out because this is a deadline, blah, blah, blah. I may have characters from a whole other book that's like, yeah, we're not going to write this tonight. This is not what we're working on tonight. Tonight, that's not going to work. And I think my writer's block come from not actually not being able to write, but just not being able to write on this specific project, because I'll have characters. Oh no, we got a whole situation going on over here, and we need to get this out right now. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to focus on this one thing right now so I can get this out. And for me, it just doesn't work like that. I have to stop working on whatever I'm working on and go work on whatever my characters need me to work on at that time, because if I don't, I won't be able to write anything.
Right. Now, this is another thing that I've noticed. When you publish yourself, when you're running everything and there's nobody like standing over top of you to say, okay, this is what's coming out, you have to have this out by the end of the week or the end of the month, they don't know what book you're finishing. So at the end of the day, what you can do is, if you start to write one and then your mind travels you to a different one and you finish the different one, you can drop the different one. And they won't know nothing about the changes because the book still dropped at the end of the month. They just didn't know which one it was going to be, especially when you got 10. You know what I'm saying? You might finish up book 8, and it may not be time in your mindset as far as the release, but if it's ready, drop it. People are not going to know any different unless it's in that arrangement. Like if you said, this particular book dropping this month, this particular book dropping that month, and you have it set and scheduled, and other people know that schedule, that's different. But if you saying, okay, I'm going to try to have these 5 books out by the end of the year, they don't know which rotation you have those 5 books, but you can still meet your quota regardless if you just get that particular one done, or either if you finish up a different one within that time frame, it still work out. So don't limit yourself. Whatever you finish, as long as it's a finished product, run with it. I mean,
and
there's
I think
no
that
wrong
too yeah, and I think another thing is, for me, I'm my biggest critic. This is going to sound surprising, but I have not read any of the books that I've written. And most people, when I say that, they're like, well, how did you write it? How did you write the second part or the third part? I have not read any of the books that I have written, and it's because I know that I will go through and want to change it, and I will want to do something different. And I will not like what I said here, and I will not like what I did there. So I have to. That's part of the reason why it takes me so long to write, because as I'm writing, I'm trying to go back through it. And my husband has told me several times, just write it. Just don't think about it. Just write it. And I can't do that.
Good, hubby. You get applause for that. Look, I have a girlfriend right now to this second. Her name is Sincere, but she spells it with an X instead of an S, right? Mm-hmm. So I get after her all the time because she is her, like you said, worst critic. And she'll write something, and then she'll go back, and she'll be like, oh, well, I don't like this. Let me take this out. And then she'll take it out. But it actually did sound pretty good. And then she tries to type it back. Well, that ain't what I had at first. And then she tries to. And I'm like, girl, 3 times you get to edit, and then that's it. You see what I'm saying? 3 times you edit, and then let it go. Because if you keep looking at it, keep staring at it, you're going to find flaws. If somebody was read one of my books and they be like, well, you have a word that's misspelled on page 68, and I be like, okay, thank you for telling me. I ain't fixing that. Because at least
and I'm the person that I will, though.
Would go back, log in, and fix it.
Yeah,
I'm one word. It's not like you going through and you rewriting the whole chapter.
It takes me so long. I'll go through, I'll change the whole plot up. After I done skimmed over it, I'm like, oh, I don't like the way that sounds. I don't like the way it's coming out. I don't like that. I got to change it. And he's looking at me just write it, just get it out. Whatever you want to do with it later, you can rearrange it later. Just get it out. And it's I can't get it out because I'm too busy trying to make it what it. I'm trying to make the finished product with the first draft, and that's why it takes me so long to get stuff out.
Yeah, and I understand that too. But you have a whole lot of people that just try to get the story out, get the initial thing out, have the meat and potatoes now, and then be like, okay, well now I can add veggies to it and a biscuit to it. Like, you can always go back and revise. So
yeah, and I get that, but for me, my writing is my legacy. Like, this is what I'm leaving. These books will be here when I'm not. These books will be here when my boys are old enough to read books. Read my books.
Yeah.
Anyway. This is my legacy. This is what I'm leaving behind. So for me, it's more than just, I think I can do this. This is something that I've wanted to do since I can remember. So it's not just I'm going to write to see if I can publish a book, or I'm going to write to see if I can make some money off of this, or, whatever the case for me.
Just throw something together.
This is what I do. So I can't, in my mind, I can't just put something out there that I'm not comfortable with. If I'm not comfortable with it, then I just feel like it's not worth me putting it out there. Because, again, not everybody's going to like what I put out, okay, with somebody reading this from me.
Right, and I feel you on that. So I can't say nothing bad about that, because, how you feel about what you put out means everything. Because if you ain't 100 with what you drop, nobody else will be. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to always have that thing in the back of your mind saying, I should have fixed it when I had it still on the computer. Like, so I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. So I can't say nothing bad about that. But what I would like to let you know is that we are now at the segment where you can give all of your love and your shout-outs to your peoples and your homies. Be sure to add everybody that you can remember and all that good stuff. So just let everybody know your shout-outs, and then we'll have our closing.
I hate doing stuff like this because I feel like I always forget somebody, but of course.
That's why I always say charge it to my head and not my heart. Yep. Go ahead, baby.
Definitely. My husband, of course, thank you, baby, for everything. You have pushed me and dealt with me secluding myself for weeks on end to be able to get things done. So I love you. Thank you for pushing me. For our boys, I love y'all. Y'all motivate me every day to continue to chase my dreams, so that you understand that no matter what your dreams are, you can accomplish those. For my sisters, I love y'all so much through the thick, the thin, the good, the bad, the ugly. Y'all are to me, and I love y'all so much. For my parentals, my parents, my mama, my daddy, I wouldn't be here without y'all. I thank y'all so much for never telling me that I couldn't do it. No matter what it was, y'all have always told me that I could, and that has helped me to be able to accomplish my dream of being a published best-selling author. So I thank you guys. For friends and family and anybody who I may forget, thank y'all. For anyone who's picked up my book, for anyone who has read everything that I've shoved in your face, my best friend, I love you so much, Karen. Thank you so much for all of the years. We've been friends since we were 12 years old, for all of the years of me pushing stuff and ideas into your face, and you telling me whether it was good, bad, in between, and being 100% honest with me from day one. I love y'all so much. Thank you to all of my readers and everyone who has ever picked up a Mokisses book. Without y'all, I would not be where I am, and I would not continue to do what I do. So just thank you to everybody, to you for having me on the show and, in your magazine and different things like that. Like, I appreciate you so much for even giving me to continue to tell my story. Thanks, everybody. I love y'all so much.
Oh, Well, I love having people on, and this was definitely one of those moments where you enjoy the person that you're interviewing, and I really had an awesome time. And this is something that I've been doing for a while now. I want to say since May of last year is when the Literary Lounge began, and we're into a new year. We're in episode 38. Like, I'm so proud of how the show has progressed and come along, and I'm happy to give all of these writers their opportunity to get their story out as to who they are, and about their books and how to get in contact with them, and I've heard so many good responses of how this show helped them get further along with their career as far as speaking engagements, their book being put in museums, in libraries, their opportunity to be speaking guests at the different colleges and things of that nature. So it warms my heart to know that being heard on the radio network is actually helping promote what it is that you love, and that's your writing. So as I say on every show, without you, there is no show. So I definitely want to thank you for taking out the time out of your busy schedule, to be with me today, because I know you have your family, you have other obligations. So I definitely want to thank you for that. So to everybody that's listening in, I want to thank you. We are currently being heard in over 8 different countries. So I'd like to give a shout out. I don't know whether or not if this is being translated to where y'all can understand, but we do appreciate y'all listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really appreciate it, because like I when I looked at the clearance and everything, it was saying that we're on in Japan, we're on in Bangladesh, and I don't know what language they speak, but I'm glad they listening. Thank you, baby.
Shout out to my UK readers too, because I've actually sold 4 books in the UK. I don't know where, but I know in the UK I've sold 4 books. So thank y'all too.
See, international too. Y'all better be reading up on some Mokisses. Look, so thank you. Like I said before, like, I really, really appreciate you being on the show today, and I hope that this interview helps you along the way. Gives you a leg up, produces some more book sales or anything like that. Also gives you opportunities to find other like venues that you could be at, as far as like book signings, things of that nature. So if there's anybody out there in the 757 that's looking for a writer who needs a little spot to do a book signing, please hit her up. If you have a bookstore, you like to get her book, please check her out. Try to get her book. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you so much, Mo, for being on the show, and I hope you have a blessed one. And for anybody that does not know, this show will be available for playback from now on. The link provided, we'll send that out via Facebook, and also it will be added to our YouTube channel. So if you can get on YouTube, look up Transparent Library, and you'll be able to listen to the show on YouTube and on the radio station. So thank you, guys. Y'all take care and have a good one, okay, Mo?
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
You are live at the Literary Lounge with your host, Destiny D, bringing you the newest and the brightest of the literary world right to your ear hole. Every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in, listen up, and learn something.